Here's a slightly disturbing thought. While you're watching this video, part of your brain is secretly deciding whether to keep watching or switch to something easier. Maybe open Instagram, maybe scroll YouTube, maybe check messages to see if something more interesting is happening somewhere else. That tiny decision happens thousands of times every single day, and slowly it chips away at your ability to focus on anything difficult. That's why starting a workout feels painful, why reading a book suddenly feels exhausting, and why working on your goals sometimes feels like dragging a heavy sofa uphill. But here's the surprising twist. The same brain mechanism that makes you avoid hard things can actually be rewired to make you crave them. And that's not motivational talk, that's neuroscience. Your brain runs on a very simple rule. It constantly asks one question: what gives me the most reward for the least effort? If something requires high effort and the reward is uncertain, your brain immediately hits the brakes. But if something offers quick pleasure with almost no effort, your brain gives it a green light. Thousands of years ago, this system helped humans survive because conserving energy meant staying alive. But today, we live in a world full of instant dopamine. Apps, snacks, notifications, short videos, and endless scrolling are all designed by teams of scientists to trigger your brain's reward system with almost zero effort. Your brain isn't broken, it's simply being hacked. Inside your brain is a tiny system responsible for motivation and reward, and it runs on a chemical called dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite true. Dopamine is actually the anticipation chemical. It spikes when your brain expects that a reward might appear. That's why scrolling feels so addictive. Every swipe might show something interesting, so your brain keeps encouraging you to keep searching. But when your brain receives too many easy dopamine hits, something important happens. It adapts. The brain reduces its sensitivity to dopamine, almost like turning down the volume on satisfaction. Suddenly, normal activities like reading, studying, or exercising start to feel boring or even exhausting. You're not losing discipline, your brain has simply developed a tolerance to easy rewards. This is where the idea of a dopamine detox comes in. Despite the dramatic name, you're not actually removing dopamine from your brain. Instead, you're temporarily removing the hyper-stimulating sources that flood your brain with quick rewards. Think of your dopamine system like a brightness dial that has been turned to maximum for too long. A dopamine detox simply turns that brightness down so normal things start feeling rewarding again. For a few days, you reduce the biggest sources of easy dopamine. For most people, that means less social media, less mindless scrolling, and less constant digital stimulation. Then you replace those habits with slower, more natural activities like reading, exercising, walking without your phone, cooking a meal, or having a real conversation. At first, this process feels uncomfortable. You might feel restless, bored, or even irritated, but that's not a sign that something is wrong. That's withdrawal. Your brain is recalibrating. After a few days, something interesting begins to happen. Your brain slowly becomes more sensitive again. Activities that once felt boring start to feel engaging. Finishing a task starts to feel satisfying. A workout feels energizing instead of exhausting. You're not becoming a different person. You're simply returning to the way your brain was originally designed to work, where effort leads to reward and discipline creates satisfaction. So, here's a simple challenge. Identify the biggest source of empty dopamine in your life. Maybe it's short-form videos, social media scrolling, or constantly checking your phone. Now, remove that one thing for the next 7 days. Not forever, just 7 days. Pay attention to what happens. Notice the boredom and restlessness in the beginning, but also notice how your focus slowly begins to improve. Notice how your relationship with effort starts to change. Because discipline isn't about forcing yourself forever. It's about retraining your brain until doing hard things actually starts to feel good.